everybody, Armando and Ashley here from Mondo's Exotic Zoo, and we're here for our third episode of our TortCast, and today's going to be frequently asked questions.
Awesome. Okay. Well, our first question that we get a lot are turtles and tortoises the same?
Yeah, so that's a silly one. People ask us all the time, and a lot of times they'll think like it's just like, oh, one lives in water, one lives on land. But there's going to be differences from like their diet and how their body is built, really. So as far as diet, a lot of turtles are going to be more carnivorous than tortoises, but there are a lot of turtles that eat vegetation as well. But here's San Diego, our diamondback terrapin. So to start, you can see his carapace is a lot more streamlined. It's not as highly domed as a tortoise would be. That's going to help him get around in the water a little bit better. And then also, when it comes to like sexual dimorphism, turtles don't usually have an indented plastron, not water turtles at least. Box turtles might. And then you see his legs, his feet are a little more like kind of like flippers, kind of. They've got like webbed feet. They got those longer nails. And also, if he was to walk, like when he pushes off there, you can see he's pushing off with his like little tippy toes. That's another way you can tell by how they walk. A tortoise is going to have a more highly domed carapace here, and males will get indentations on their plastron that's going to help them mount the females for mating and stuff like that. And then also, when he pushes off more like flat-footed, and I'll show you the back feet, you can see better. When he stands on my hand, you can see there he's standing flat-footed, and he's got elephantine legs. They look like little elephant legs. Even the feet are like little elephant feet. So you see that there? So that's how you can tell the difference between turtles and tortoises based off of how they look and how they walk.
Okay, awesome. Another frequently asked question we get is, can tortoises swim and can turtles drown?
Yeah, so we combine those two. Mainly that one's like important to know for like if you find a turtle or something, you want to help it out. You don't want to just grab a turtle and put it in the water, even if it's a water turtle. You could put it on the land next to the water and it'll go in when it wants to. Because like there's different reasons a turtle might drown. But like one way is like if you toss it in the water and it didn't get a chance to take a breath, and then like if you can see it sometimes if you put a turtle right in the water and they get scared, they'll just suck in their legs and they'll let themselves sink. So if you throw him into a deep pond or something and he just sinks to the bottom and he didn't get to take a breath, by the time he starts swimming back up, he might not have time to get that breath. But yeah, they can only hold their breath for a certain amount of time. So like if they got trapped for some reason, they could drown. If they got exhausted, like one kind of sad story, when I was a kid, I didn't really know about turtles too much, and like other than what my parents would help me do. And so I had a turtle that was sick, and they had some kind of medicine that they would put in the water. And so me trying to help my turtle, I took out the basking platform, and my mom wasn't home, and then by the end of the day when she came home, like my turtle had drowned. So that's unfortunate. And then tortoises, they can swim sometimes, but it's more like their lungs are on the top of their body here. So inside of his shell here, on the top are his lungs. So he can breathe in and it'll make him buoyant, and he'll float on top of the water, and then they can kick their legs and make their way through the water. And then one feature that some tortoises have that's going to help them do that a little bit better is they don't have a nuchal scoot. So some tortoises have an extra scoot right here, and it prevents them from lifting up their head. He doesn't, so he can lift up his head, and it helps him to be a much better swimmer than certain other tortoises would be.
Awesome. You already mentioned turtles are a little bit more carnivorous, but overall, we get the question of what do they eat? Like, how do you take care of them? What do they eat? So.
Yeah, so every individual is going to be different, but turtles, for the most part, like when they're babies, are going to be more carnivorous, and then as they get older, they switch to a more vegetarian or yeah, vegetarian diet. They start to eat more like aquatic plants and things like that, and less of the insects. But in captivity, we have so many good like pellets and stuff. We use Missouri pellets. We give them like lettuce to chew on and stuff like that if they want to, and just mix it up like that. Shrimp, guppies, all those kind of things they like. And then as far as tortoises, they're gonna vary as well. Like Ace here, being a cherry head, Redfoot, he's gonna eat a little bit of protein. He's gonna eat some fruit, and he's a broadleaf eater, so he doesn't like to eat as much grass. He'll eat more like leaves off of plants and things like that. We decided to bust out a different one here that we don't always show. This is one of our pancake tortoises, and they're a grassland species. So grassland species along with like sulcatas, leopard tortoises, all the testudo tortoises, they're gonna eat grassland, they're gonna eat grasses, weeds, things like that. So for them, I've bought before like different seed mixes. There's like African seed mixes and stuff you can buy and grow it, and it grows all different variety of weeds and stuff like that, and you give it to them and they really enjoy it, along with like mixing in lettuce and things like that once in a while.
Awesome. Okay, on top of, so we talked about that. So how long do they live? We get that a lot, which is probably one of the most.
Yeah, that also varies. You know, water turtles are gonna be more like in the like 10 to 25 year range, depending on the species. Like some of your sliders and stuff could be like 15 to 25. But then like your snapping turtles, alligator snapping turtles, they can live hundreds and more. So they can go for a long time. Tortoises, generally, like your redfoots, they're gonna be like 50 years plus. And then like sulcatas can be like over 100. The longest live off the top of my mind, like there's like some of the giant tortoises have gotten close to 200, but it's actually the testudo tortoises, like Greek tortoises, they can be known to live 200 plus years. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so lifelong friends.
Yeah.
So we talked about where they live. So how big do they get?
Yeah, that's always like a thing. It's kind of funny. When I was a kid, I always wanted a tortoise, but obviously I would only see the ones I would see at stores when I was a kid. So that was mainly going to be the testudo tortoises, Herman's tortoises, and things like that, which can get like 8 to 10 inches or so. But then, like my stepdad, he would always tell me that they would get huge. He always thought everything was a sulcata, right? So he thought everything was going to get to 100 plus pounds. So that always kept me, when I was a kid, from getting a tortoise, because my mom didn't want me to have a giant tortoise. But there's all different sizes. So like our cherry heads, they might not get more than 8 to 10 inches or so. A regular redfoot from other localities, they might get 12 to 15 inches, maybe 16. And then like our pancake tortoise that I showed, this guy, he'll only get 6 or 7 inches maybe. Okay? It's like probably like 4 to 7 is the range, I believe. And they're pretty good sized tortoise for keeping indoors. And this guy, Cage, is one of our coolest tortoises here. This guy goes back and forth with the leopard tortoise, the yellowfoot, and yeah, they go back and forth for which one is the 4th largest. This guy he's a Burmese black mountain tortoise. He can get up to 80 to 100 pounds, and he'll be a pretty big guy. So yeah, it's a wide range. And same thing with turtles, there's a wide range. You can have a alligator snapping turtle that's like gonna be huge. You can have a soft shell turtle that's also gonna be huge. Or then you can have like San Diego, who's gonna have a similar size range to like the pancake tortoise. He's gonna be 4 to 7 inches. He's not gonna be super huge turtle. And we have like our spotted turtle over there, Reed. Did we do a video about Reed? No, we didn't do a video about Reed.
A little like.
Yeah, we did a short about Reed.
Yeah,
So you might have seen our short about Reed. I'll drop that in the description as well, so you can find that. He's gonna be a small turtle as well, like in that 4-inch type range, 4 to 6 inches. They don't get super big either.
So, they always see we have different tortoises and different turtles. How many do we have?
Ooh, I should have looked at my list first, because now off the top of my head, I do not remember.
I think we're...
So let's see. Redfoots, we have 7.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 leopards. We have 1 sulcata, so that's 10. And then we have 2 pancakes, so that's 12. We have Cage, that's 13. Molly and Zeus, so 15.
And then
15.
Yeah, and then 2 box turtles.
Yep. And then for water turtles, we have a lot. We have, let's see, we have Speedy, Frank, Squirt, and Map in one pond, so that's 4. We have Bruiser, our snapping turtle. And then in the little pond, we have Daniel and Shay. We have Zorro, Reeves. That's it for that one. Right? So that's 9. And then we got San Diego 10. We have Ninja 11, and then Reed is 12. So, yeah, 12.
12, 15, and the box turtles are on their own.
Yeah, and then the 2 box turtles. So yeah, that's crazy. That's a lot. What's that? 27, 29? 29. 29 Shalonians in this house.
Oh my goodness. So, what do you like about tortoises and turtles? What makes you love these animals?
My favorite thing about them is just they're like a calming like animal for me. Like I like to hang out with them and just sit by their enclosure and watch them walk around. A lot of like our redfoots, the sulcata, they're like super like friendly. They'll come up to you and want food and stuff like that. So I like hand feeding them. I like just watching them really. I like setting up the enclosures. That's one of the funnest parts is really giving them a nice enclosure that they can enjoy and you can enjoy watching them in it. So like once we get them outside and I can start having plants and all these different things, I can't wait. So yeah, that's the funnest part for me is the enclosure. Setting up the enclosure and seeing them interact with it is pretty fun.
No, I enjoy that too, and then I really just enjoy hanging out with them. I soak them weekly, and that's just my time to, I get to see what they're doing. They get to splash around in the water. But yeah, I think hanging out with them is my favorite.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's soothing. It's just like they're not loud. They're not making noise. They're just walking around, checking things out, looking for food, and it's just calming. Really, it's like hanging out with the little therapist all the time. So like when I had my first MMA fight, like my coach called me and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing right now? Are you like with the guys hanging out or whatever?" And I was like, "No, actually, we found this cool reptile place and I'm like hanging out with some tortoises right now." And he was like, "Of course you are. This is something we like to do."
I know this is a hard question, but which one's your favorite?
Not that hard. My favorite is Cage, the Burmese black mountain tortoise. He's just unique compared to other tortoises. I like the pancakes as well because they're very unique too. So those are probably like top 2 or 3 favorite tortoises. But as far as like the characteristic, I love the Burmese black mountain tortoise because of how they look. Like he's gonna be a huge black tortoise. He's got all these cool, I'm going to get closer, I love this guy. He's got all these cool osteoderms on there. Osteoderms are these bone growths that come out of their legs. And that's similar to alligators have osteoderms running down their back. It's the same thing on their legs. That helps them with digging, helps them with all kind of things. They're pretty hard too, so it's a little more protection on them. And then they are the most primitive species of tortoise that's still alive, and so they're more carnivorous, and they exhibit behaviors that no other tortoise does. So what they do is they protect their nests. So like a female Burmese mountain tortoise, she'll build a mound on the ground instead of most tortoises dig a nest and they bury it in the ground. they'll build a mound and bury their eggs in the mound like alligators do or crocodilians, and they'll protect their nest same way crocodilians do. So like when one day when I get a little pair, once we know what cage is, if it's a boy or a girl, and I have a pair for him, and we try to breed them, I'm gonna be having to fight the female to get her to get her eggs out of there. I'm gonna have to use Ashley as a distraction while I get the eggs. Yeah, because they'll charge you, they'll ram you, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. That's something so cool about them that I really enjoy. It's crazy. So yep, that's my favorite.
Yeah, and we've talked about my favorite. Molly's my favorite. Our Indian star tortoise. She's awesome. She's really small. We built her an awesome enclosure. You guys can check that video out. But yeah, I really enjoy her.
Yeah, she is really awesome. Molly's pretty cool. So yeah, we've shown Molly plenty of times on Instagram. She's got some stuff about her. We built her the golden PVC enclosure. So yeah, you can check out Molly on there. We got plenty of videos about her.
Yes. So do they bite?
So, water turtles, they'll bite you. They're more likely to bite you when you take them out of the water. So like a snapping turtle, you might walk past a snapping turtle in a river or lake or whatever and not even know it was there, unless maybe you step on it. But you walk past it, you won't even know it's there. But if you see it on land, he's gonna be more likely to open up that mouth and start trying to scare you away and things like that. San Diego's not a good representation of this because he's just our little guy. He's been with us forever and he doesn't even try. But like some of our other turtles, like Frank that I've shown you before, Frank will bite us. Frank, she opens up her mouth and she's ready to go. And same with like Speedy, especially Bruiser, our snapping turtle, he'll bite you. But like tortoises, they're a lot less likely to bite you, and they'll probably bite you by mistake because they thought you were food. So like Ace bit me one time because I was trying to hand feed him these tiny little shrimp, and like he was taking them and I got really excited. So then one time, I don't even remember because it was a couple years ago, he sucked his head and he got scared. And so I was still trying to get him to take the shrimp, and he like reached out real fast and tried to get it, but he like got my fingers a little bit. So that was my only experience with tortoise bite.
Recently I've been bit twice because I get inside the enclosures and stuff to clean and just hang out with them, and Kiki thought my toes were food, got bit. Deuce also. So I think redfoots like to go for the toes.
Yeah, toes especially are vulnerable. If you got your toes out around a tortoise, you might get bit.
Last question. We have so many. Are they easy to take care of?
No. They're not. A lot of people assume it must be just like you just leave them there or whatever, because since we do have so many, but we do spend a couple of hours every day taking care of them and checking on them, making sure everything's correct. They have like the lighting's expensive. You got to spend money on lighting, and even if you keep them outdoors, you might have to spend money on heating and things like that. You definitely have to make sure their enclosure is predator proof, so that might be a little costly. And same thing for keeping them indoors. You got to make a big enough enclosure, so that can cost some money there. But and then also, like, you're not able to really just buy a tortoise enclosure. They don't sell it. It's not something you can keep in a fish tank. So I spend a lot of time building enclosures, as you guys have seen if you watch our videos. I'm always building something, and it works out better for me that way, because even if you buy some of like the commercial PVC enclosures, it's gonna cost you $600-700 for something that I build for $200. So yeah, so it's kind of labor intensive as far as the enclosures go. And then also, like I mentioned with the lighting, you got to make sure that the heat is at the right temperature. You got to make sure their cool side's right. Certain tortoises need more humidity than others, so you got to be monitoring humidity. You might need to go spray them down, things like that. And yeah, it's just, you got to monitor them a lot. especially like our redfoots, we keep a lot of them together, so we like to make sure everybody's okay, no one's flipped over, things like that. If you keep sulcatas, you have a group of sulcatas, they can be territorial, they'll fight each other, so a lot of sulcata breeders and keepers, they gotta break up tortoise fights all the time. And that's no fun. These guys get huge, or sulcatas get huge. San Diego's, I don't know why I pointed at him. Sulcatas get huge, and they fight, and they'll ram each other, and they can really do some damage to each other, so you gotta monitor them a lot. So it's really just a lot of just monitoring, keeping up with them, checking their weight, soaking them like Ashley does. All those things. It's like a lot of like little tedious things here and there that you have to do. But if you keep up with it and you get pretty used to it, you build a routine and you got your schedule, it's very doable. There's people that have way more tortoises than us. Like, you might think we're crazy, there's people way crazier. Way crazier. I'm in a tortoise group with people that have hundreds of tortoises, so yeah, not there yet.
Well, that's all my questions I have.
That's all we got. All right. Well, thanks everybody. We hope you enjoyed today's TortCast. We tried to change it up a little bit, make it just like a frequently asked questions thing, and just answer all these questions that a lot of people ask us all the time. So we imagine a lot of people might have those questions as well. So on that note, let me grab Cage again, show you Cage right there. Have a good day, everybody. Subscribe to our channel and let us know what you think.
Thanks, guys.